Hello. Uh, so yeah, in a recent video, I mentioned reality transurfing, and people occasionally comment. I think someone left a comment on that video, and people occasionally comment about me discussing reality transurfing, the Vadim Zalen model, and I said in that video last week, I have nothing really that interesting to say about it, and I think a lot of people are into it, and some people have said some interesting things about reality transurfing already. So that's why I don't really talk about it, and it's not the kind of approach for me, or the book, or the teaching that I personally feel like I have to talk about all the time. But at the same time, there's a ton of valuable stuff, in my opinion, in that book, in reality transurfing. So I thought I would actually read from reality transurfing today briefly, because it again touches upon flexibility, and I think Vadim really emphasizes flexibility in a nice way in this book, in a very practical way. And one thing that I've noticed the longer I've gotten into these, various manifesting ideas, law of attraction ideas, law of assumption ideas, whatever you want to call it, is that so many of the teachers, even the very prominent teachers, and even the teachers that we often talk about, really don't emphasize flexibility enough, in my opinion. They're too single-minded in their approach, or their model, as Vadim calls it here. They're like, this is my model, and this is the way the world works. And they don't allow for the flexibility that I think, and I think that Vadim thinks, is inherent in living, and in the creative process of how life works and how we work as humans. Um, that flexibility is often thrown to the wayside, and in its place takes a very dogmatic approach for how to apply something, and that sucks. Like, that just doesn't feel good to me. Um, I like having a large degree of flexibility, and as I said last video, and as I often say, what so often happens is that we hear about a model, or we read about a theory, such as law of attraction theories or teachings, and really the only thing that resonates for us is a small part of it, in that all we have to do is utilize that small part of it. It's not like we have to agree with the whole model or the whole approach. And again, this is just not discussed enough, in my opinion, and people are way, way, way too dogmatic in the manifesting community, and that it's hard. That's hardly unique. Spiritual communities in general are incredibly dogmatic, and you could say that humanity in general is very dogmatic. But anyway, in reality transurfing, this is from a relatively early chapter in the book. It's such a huge book. This is from the Induced Transition chapter. I'll try to link above to this chapter, an audio version of that, if I can find it. Yeah, and what's interesting about this book, what's good about this book, one of the things that's good about it is, like, he'll talk about theory and different stuff, but then he'll be like, listen, enough with this bullshit. Like, let's remember this is practical, and this is a good example of that. So the paragraph prior was kind of theoretical. And then Vazim Zaylin writes, that is enough speculation for now. We do not want to get bogged down in abstract conjecture. Remember, though, that transurfing is just one of many models. All existing theories about the world and life in it are nothing but models. Remember also the notion of importance, and try to avoid projecting any outer importance onto the transurfing model of the universe. Otherwise, you could become an apologist for futile ideas and try proving to everyone the truth of your own subjective worldview. Truth is an abstract notion, for we can only understand some of the world's forms and laws. Our goal here lies exclusively in attaining maximum practical benefit for our preferred model of the universe. That is a fucking fantastic paragraph. Fantastic paragraph. And it ties into what I was just saying. Like, people are like, this is how to do it. This is how to manifest something. This is how reality creation works. And it's just one way. Whatever they're sharing is just one way of many to work with these ideas, to play with these ideas, to see these ideas happening in your own life. And what you want to find is, as Zalen writes, the maximum practical benefit from your preferred model of the universe. Your preferred model. It's a subjective thing. It's not objective. These laws are not as objective as so many of these LOA teachers make them sound. Whatsoever. We do not want to get bogged down in abstract conjecture. Transurfing is just one of many models. All existing theories about the world in life in it are nothing but models. Remember the notion of importance and avoid projecting any outer importance onto the transurfing model or any LOA model. Otherwise, you could become an apologist for futile ideas and try proving to everyone the truth of your own subjective worldview. Good example of this, you want an example? Go at your own peril, is the Neville Goddard subreddit. But it's like, that's just an extreme example, but there's countless examples of this. Truth is an abstract notion, for we can only understand some of the world's forms and laws. So many of these LOA teachers want to explain everything to you, seemingly. And they don't admit that we don't know probably most things. We know very, very little. And, what we can understand are only some, not all, some of the world's forms and laws. Vadim makes this really beautifully clear in this passage. Again, he says, our goal here lies exclusively in attaining maximum practical benefit from our preferred model of the universe. Maximum practical benefit. Practical. With this LOA stuff, I'm always talking about practicality. This is about practically improving your life. Practically improving the lives of others around you, perhaps, by improving your own life. Practical. Said it before, I'll say it again. If I'm looking for deeply spiritual advice, truly hard to put into words, ineffable advice, I'm not utilizing or looking at law of attraction models or teachings usually. I'm looking at other stuff. I'm looking at law of attraction models and teachings a lot of the time because they're incredibly practical for improving my life. In my opinion, they're practical. And that might not be the case for you. That's my subjective model, is that this LOA stuff is practical for me. But for someone else, it might be self-improvement. It might be self-discipline. It might be meditating. It could be something totally different. There are numerous models. You got to find what works best for you. So, great quote. I'm trying to listen to this book again. I listened to a lot of it the first time. I didn't read the whole book. It's just so big. But it's pretty easy, I feel like, to listen to Vadim Zalen's philosophy. It's, easy listening and when it comes to this LOA stuff for me. So maybe I'll have some more insights into this book because it seems like people are curious as to my thoughts on some of the stuff he says. If you have any questions or if you're looking for coaching or anything related to practically improving your life, feel free to contact me at radicalcounselor.com.